Welcome, everybody, to episode 74 of Unhacked, and also our first episode in almost 2 months. Guys, what the hell happened? We've all been on a bit of a hiatus. We can call it holidays. We can call it, I don't know. What do we call it? What happened? Slacking.
Working really hard on other tasks and other responsibilities.
I guess. But key to everything is consistency, and boy, we better get back to it. So here we are, the beginning of 2026. I am titling this episode, Welcome to 2026. So clever and creative. Guys, I am Justin Shelley, the CEO of Phoenix IT Advisors. And at my company, we help businesses build their wealth using technology, and these days, everything AI, and then protect that wealth from the Russian hackers, among others, government fines and penalties, and class action lawsuits. That's what I do. Bryan, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and who you do it for.
All right, I'm going to be a little rusty at this because it's been so long.
I know.
My name is Bryan Lachapelle with B4 Networks, based out of beautiful Niagara, Ontario, Canada. And we help business owners remove the frustrations that come with dealing with technology. And we do that by putting you through our journey that helps you solve your problems over time.
All right. Mario, you're up.
Mario Zaki, owner of Mastech IT, located in New Jersey. We work with small to medium-sized businesses, and we specialize in helping business owners sleep better at night, knowing that their business will be there the next day.
And, you know, these days, that's a question every time you go to bed. Have I been hacked? Has everything been wiped out while I slept? Great. Bryan, when you say every time you introduce yourself, you say, beautiful Niagara. I was actually on a podcast by another fellow Canadian. He lives 500 miles north of Vancouver, so not really your neck of the woods. But I wonder if it's a Canadian thing because he taught. And by the way, his name's John Brink. His podcast is called On the Brink. Go check it out. Great podcast. And I mean, my episode was the best one. Anyways, the thing that he said that stood out to me is he wakes up every morning and he goes outside and he says, "I live in paradise." And I've adopted that. I've started making that my own personal mantra because there's a lot of shit going on in the world, especially in our industry, and sometimes we need that reminder. So, guys, we have an interesting conundrum today, and we're about a half an hour late getting started to record because our guest, the first one of the year, no-showed us. It's been a while since we've been no-showed. I'm not super pleased about that, but I think we can pull this out. We can come up with a pretty good episode here. We're going to talk about 2025. What did we learn? And then we're going to all pull out our little crystal balls and we're going to look into them and see what 2026 has in store for us. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds great to me.
Sounds good.
Since we don't have a guest. Anyways. All right. So 2025 in the world of technology. And Bryan, I'm going to go ahead and let you run with this thing first. What did you learn? What is the one thing that comes to mind as you look back over last year?
Yeah. Throughout the entire year, we've had a lot of conversations with a lot of different people on our podcast. I've met with a lot of clients, a lot of potential clients, and went to a lot of conferences and spoke with a lot of vendors. And the biggest takeaway for me for the entire year, and I'm going to talk about cybersecurity here because, we are a security-based podcast. And the biggest takeaway for me was that most cybersecurity problems don't start with a hacker being a genius. They start with a normal business being too trusting, too exposed, and too unprepared. So that, to me, is the biggest takeaway for 2025, is that if you do just the not the bare minimum, but if you just do something and you create a plan to do a little bit every single week, every single month to improve your posture, and you assume that there's already somebody in your staff who's going to click something, you assume that someone will get through your security, and you build your systems so that one mistake doesn't become a full-blown disaster, I think we'll be in a much better position than the majority of the businesses out there.
Yeah,
that's my takeaway.
It sounds like a lot like your weekly sign off.
I wonder why.
You know what? I'm at the gym this morning. Okay, so on one of the mirrors, I see this line that says 1% better every day. I'm like, oh my God, Bryan's been here.
I have, yeah. I mean,
Either
it's a
that or
pretty
you
good
stole
mantra.
that saying and you didn't come up with yourself and other people
I
use
most
it.
certainly
I
did
don't know.
not. I did not come up with that saying.
Where'd you
Actually,
get
it
it?
was I was reading the book
At
Start
a
with
gym.
Why, and I believe it's Simon Sinek.
Okay.
And in there he talked about how, imagine if you were running a company and you were telling and you had a problem, and you were working with a client and you failed at something, and you went to the client and says, I failed at this, but one of the things that sets us apart, one of the things that makes us different, is that we learn from our mistakes. We actually will take what we've failed at and improve from it. We will get 1% better every day. And I was like, that right there, I love that.
Okay.
I love that whole
Okay.
concept of just always trying to improve ourselves and having the growth mindset versus just trying to do these big massive things. Like, a lot of businesses try to do these massive undertakings to improve cybersecurity or improve their business. People are like, I'm going to lose 100 pounds. It's like, no, I'm just going to lose 500 calories. I'm just going to reduce my intake today, and just concentrating on one little thing every single day. The patterns is what matters, not the ultimate objection. I mean, objective. Obviously, the objective matters, but you can't become 100% secure overnight. So what is the plan and how we're going to get there? And it all came from that book, Start with Why.
Okay, so I thought you were going to attribute this to Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect. Do you remember when he came and presented on that?
I do, yeah. The compound effect. There's also Sean Stevenson who talks about it. There's Atomic Habits that talks about it.
Yeah.
There's tons of the same type of books that all talk about just get into the right habits, just make a slight change here, and over time that compound effect grows exponentially. So, yep.
Okay. Well, Mario, you wanted to go last, so I guess I'll go here, and then I'll let you give your lessons learned. And this, listen, I swear to God, we didn't synchronize this stuff behind the scenes, but what my takeaway from last year was consistency, in a word. And it's very similar to what you're saying. You're talking about improvements. And for me, it's just doing the same thing, getting into, habits, rituals, whatever you want to call it. This started honestly with fitness. I've let myself get very out of shape over the last few years because of a lot of stuff that's gone on in my life. And decided it was time to just get things back under control, get back to running marathons and just being in good shape overall. And it's frustrating at first when you start doing this because, it just hurts and you're just tired, so tired. I'll go work out in the morning and the rest of the day I'm cooked. As these young kids would say, I'm cooked and I can't do a damn thing the rest of the day. But I just kept at it until, several weeks, maybe a month or two in, then you start seeing those results and you get that payday, and I love it. The thing for me about fitness is it is always tied to business, not intentionally, but when I start getting myself in shape physically, I always get better at business. I can't explain that. Maybe it's just because I spend so much time on the treadmill and it's mind numbing. And so my brain goes in and solves all the business problems. I don't know what it is, but as I've started doing that, all kinds of things have started coming together in other areas of life. So consistency is my key takeaway. It applies to fitness. It applies to business, and it definitely applies to cybersecurity because, guys, we can't let our guards down for a minute. Especially with all the AI and, the automation that's going on in the world of security. It's getting scary out there. So we have to up our game there. So that was my takeaway from 2025. Mario, did I give you enough time to come up with the way to present your findings?
And it's not that I'm trying to almost tie in your stuff, but mine is to stop going on autopilot, and I feel like, and I see it with myself, I see it with my technicians. Sometimes we go on autopilot, where you stop thinking and analyzing situations yourself. You get used to AI. And my biggest thing with 2025 is I realized, like, AI is good, but it's not there.
Yeah.
It's good with putting some things together, but when you really wanted to analyze like a problem, when you wanted to solve a issue for you, it's not there, and sometimes you will waste, or that I've wasted, like hours trying to set up the right prompts, screenshots, uploads, and stuff like that. And then I realized, I'm like, you know what? If I would have never opened up AI and would have actually tried some of this stuff myself, I think I wouldn't have been down this rabbit hole, and I probably would have solved it myself. And it's happened so many times. It's just not there. And the thing is, I yell at my AI and I tell it, I'm like, well, why did you, give me this information when it's not correct? Quick little story. Last week was my wife's birthday, and she wanted to have dinner at home. She wanted to have a fondue night. We used to love, like, for special occasions, go to the melting pot. But the one that was closer to us closed down. So, we've been there so many times. We have the menu memorized and the ingredients memorized. And I was on the way to shop, and I'm like, all right, ChatGPT, put this, we're looking to redo the Wisconsin trio from the melting pot. Do me a favor. I'm on my way to the supermarket. Put together a checklist of ingredients that I need to buy. And it did everything that I did. I bought it. It was a 3-cheese, trio. And I went home, started, and then my wife opens the refrigerator and she's like, what the hell are these cheeses? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, this is for the Wisconsin trio. She's like, Mario, this is not what's in there. What the hell kind of cheeses? Like, it got all 3 cheeses completely wrong. And then when I told it, I'm like, isn't it supposed to have blue cheese in there? She's like, Mario, you're absolutely right. Yes, it should have blue cheese. So, and then it changed one of the 3 to blue cheese, but the other 2 were still wrong. And I told it, I'm like, but what about this one? She's like, you caught me. It's supposed to be this. And I'm like, and I call mine Bertha. And I'm like, Bertha, what the fuck? Why are you giving me the wrong ingredients? And she's like, oh, well, I was just giving you a generic ingredient. But I do remember you saying that it was from the melting pot. I'm like, God damn it. If I would have just looked it up, and now I don't have to go, now I have to go back to the store, return these cheese, get other cheese. But either way, that's where I've learned. Just kind of still don't go on autopilot. You still have to use your brain, at least for 2020.
Okay, but maybe you've learned the wrong lesson, Mario. Maybe what you should have learned is how to treat your robot. Because it sounds to me like you guys have a bit of a toxic relationship. You're swearing at her. You've labeled her a female, so I don't know what that means. And then you swear at her, and then you piss her off, and then you wonder why you get bad information. Listen, my girl Leanna, she always fights with our Alexa, and it's funny listening to them yell at each other. But Alexa started getting sassy. Like she's pushing back now, and I'm like, Leanna, you got to knock that off. Like, these robots are going to take over, and you better be on their good list. You don't want to be on the naughty list. So I don't know, Mario. I'm just asking. Maybe you should probably be a little bit nicer to your AI.
Well, we started talking about it in the beginning of the conversation, and one thing I found out about ChatGPT the other day is it doesn't know how to spell. So. So listen to this. So, Bertha, you with me?
Always here, Maz. What's on your mind? Spill it. I'm listening.
Bertha, how do you spell, start over. Bertha, how many R's are in the word strawberry?
There are 2 R's in the word strawberry. One right after the T and one near the end.
Could you spell that out for me, please?
Absolutely. It's spelled STRAWBERRY.
It sounds to me that you had 3 R's in there.
See what you're thinking. It can feel like a lot of letters, but there are still only 2 R's total. One in the middle, one near the end. Strawberries might be sweeter, but they just add an EIES at the end. No extra R there.
So you're sure? The final answer, there's only 2 R's in strawberry.
Final answer, absolutely. Just 2 R's in strawberry. And that's all you need to make it sweet.
All right, thank you.
Listen, like I tell people,
mic drop.
Well, like I tell people, here's the thing about AI. It is dangerously good at intimidating human behavior, and we forget that it's nothing but math. And it's not math about how many R's are in strawberry. It's math just about statistics, probabilities. It has no awareness of what it's saying. And you just proved that point. And yeah, it is scary because we rely on it and we do think it's a human. Oh my God, it's not. So on that note, let's talk about what our crystal ball shows for 2026. And I'm going to jump right in because that's a perfect segue. Assuming you were done, Mario, I didn't cut you off, right?
I'm
okay.
done.
Okay.
I'm done. I'm good. Thank you.
And meanwhile, while I'm talking about my crystal ball, I'd like you to go, and is it Bertha? Is that her name?
Bertha, yes.
I'd like you to go issue an apology to her because you've been kind of rude. So my crystal ball says that, you know what, guys? This is a first on the show. I completely blanked on what I was going to say. I did. Well, okay. So what I did is I jumped tracks because we had a guest that was supposed to be actually on last week. One of the other reasons that it's been so long since we talked, and she started asking me about agentic AI and was I afraid of it? And I said, well, let me ask you, in your, you look into your crystal ball, you brought this up. What does our world look like? Because she's kind of presenting this dystopian society model of what is going to happen as AI becomes agentic AI and becomes, the really doing everything for us. Right now, it's a tool, it's a crutch, but it's getting to where it is going to start doing everything. And it kind of caught her in her tracks. She's like, that's a great question. I'll have to go think about that one. So hopefully we come back to that conversation and we talk about the dystopian AI future. And here's, okay, so I gave myself enough time to realize what I was going to say. As AI allows us to do more and more things, and I'll use myself as the example because I love to code. When I was a kid, that's the first thing I did with technology is started writing programs on my Apple IIe. I played piano at the time. My first program, one of my early programs, was the song The Entertainer by Scott Joplin. And I programmed my computer to play that song just with beeps. It didn't have real sound cards back then. It was just a little goddamn speaker on your, plastic welded, they melt the plastic in to hold it in place. And it just could beep in pitches and durations. That's all I had to work with. I had two numbers, a pitch and a duration, and I programmed The Entertainer by Scott Joplin. So proud of that. Anyways, I've always loved to write code. As I got older and tried to make money with it, it's complicated and it takes forever. And even then, it's usually wrong. And so I never found a way to do it professionally. I didn't want to work for somebody else. And a one-man development team, it just isn't practical. That said, AI is letting me get back into that world. And as I've started developing again, one of the things that scares me, one of the things that I'm worried about for 2026 is more and more people are going to have access to do this type of thing. And we're talking about security. Oh my God. Like the security holes that we can inadvertently put into code that now we tie into our best data, our most, tightly held, controlled information about clients, about financials, about everything else. That's really got my attention. As I'm developing, I'm like, yeah, I can't put too much trust in this. So that's my crystal ball. Do you guys have any thoughts on that one?
No, I agree. I mean, you have to kind of still, you need to use AI as a tool, not the driving force. I think it needs to assist you in your mission, not just, give you a ride to where you want to be.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bryan,
sounds like you're saying don't make your AI your CEO of your company. Yeah, I mean, guardrails are important. If you put guardrails up surrounding what you're doing with AI, and that might mean many different things to different people, but it all comes down to making sure that, to me anyway, is there's human intervention between anything AI and anything major happening in your organization, right? So we're talking about automating a whole bunch of things, and automation isn't exactly AI, but the two are kind of melding and merging together. There's AI being used in automation quite frequently, but anytime there's something important that's supposed to happen, maybe you're taking an order using AI on a phone. Before the order actually goes out, it should be reviewed by an actual human being, right? Like this is what the person actually wanted to have versus it just being automated and going through. Or if you're doing anything critical with AI, you have a human being in between the input and the output. And I think that's a good guardrail to have.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Bryan, you got your crystal ball out and tell us what yours says. Maybe you've got an updated firmware and you have better information than I have.
Well, I just have a faster CPU, so I'm able to process them much, much quicker. There's younger, and I've got still hair on my head, so some of this is helping with the processing.
Shots
fired
fired
this year.
Shots
That's what
fired.
my crystal ball says. We're gonna cut off his hair in 2026.
Initiation coming.
Yeah. Okay, listen, we've been dealing with logins and passwords for as long as time. As long as we've had computers, there's been logins and passwords, right? I was going to say as long as time was around, but no, I mean, we've only had logins and passwords anyway, let's just say the last, 40, 50 years. And we're at a point now where hackers are getting very clever and stealing credentials. I think passkeys in 2026 will become more of a thing. And I say that because even I kind of avoided it in 2025, and now in 2026 I'm embracing it, and almost every website that supports passkeys, I've been using it. And so I think passkeys will become something that is far more prevalent in 2026, and many more people will start using them, many more websites will start implementing them, and overall I think it will make our logins to all the different websites and computers and systems and tools that we use much more secure.
I'm going to say that we've been using passwords way more than 50 years.
Okay.
We've had secret handshakes and,
right.
What's the open sesame from, I don't, right? Like this is
Aladdin.
Like this has gone back centuries, millennia, whatever,
Sure.
probably since the beginning of time.
Okay.
That said, I love the passkey concept. And I've also already been frustrated with it. So hopefully they come up with some new iterations that makes it more useful. One of the websites that I switched to a passkey on, now I get stuck in a loop when I try to log in. It's like thumbprint because and I'll let you describe. I'm gonna make you tell us all in layman's terms what a passkey is. But it requires usually some kind of a biological thumbprint, a face recognition or something like that to authenticate the passkey, right? And as I implemented this and I do it and it likes, okay, we've got to sign you in. And then it just pushes me right back out. And then it just loops. And I have to do that like 4 or 5 times. And sometimes I have to close the app and start back over. Drives me nuts. So great concept, moving in the right direction for security. We're still in its infancy. But tell us, Bryan, what is a passkey? How can I understand it? I know what a password is. Like I said, those have been around for thousands of years. What is this thing?
Okay, so the long and short of it is when you first sign up to a website, you have a tool, typically your phone and or a password manager that will the website will communicate with, and they'll exchange tokens. They'll exchange information. Let's just leave it at that. And what happens is every single time you log into the website or you try to go to the website and log in, you're not using your password anymore. The website will send a one-time challenge. It's kind of like a random question that changes every time you try to log in. It sends a one-time challenge that your computer then has to answer correctly in order to log in. So every time you go to log in, it'll be a different challenge. And this is layman's terms, like really, really, really easy, right? So really, an easy way to do an analogy would be like, it's like a bouncer saying today's secret word is pineapple, and then you've got to reply with whatever the reply to that is, and tomorrow it'll be something different, right? It's kind of that same analogy. And the reason why this is a lot better than the login and password, of course, is that a login and password is static. It's always the same every single time. And so an attacker could be listening in or watching over your shoulder or however they're in between, and they can record your login and password. And if they have that, even if you have 2FA, sometimes they can bypass it. But they can log into your account. Now with the passkey, because it changes all the time, every single time the challenge is different, it's very, very unlikely that that challenge question will come back again, that the attacker could then use that to log into the website. So it makes it infinitely more secure.
Okay. And can you tell me why it loops?
No.
Okay.
That I can't answer.
Mario, what's your crystal ball showing for 26?
That I think your problem is between the chair and the keyboard.
Another ID10T error.
Oh, guys, why are we attacking Justin today? Oh my God, what did I do to piss you guys off?
Well, it probably has a lot to do with the fact that
what? Say it, Bryan.
You have no hair. I'm just
not everybody's got video. You're pointing at your hair, but yeah, Bryan loves his luscious locks.
I don't know. I think we have to go back to a couple episodes before. I do think his hair used to be a little thicker last year.
Oh
shit!
I don't know.
That's the crystal ball for Bryan this year. Is he's going bald? Join the ranks. Join the ranks. All right, Mario. Bryan, I'm going to mute you real quick. Mario, go ahead and tell us what in the world of technology is going to happen in 26.
So I do think, and we are kind of seeing it a little bit. I do think AI is going to kind of start narrowing down a little bit. You know, the different companies out there, different platforms, is going to start coming together into less platforms. We're seeing it with the iPhone. Apple, I think a week or two announced that they have given up on trying to have their own AI and is actually going to their competitor, Google, and they're integrating Gemini right into every iPhone. And Siri is going to actually be run through Gemini. So they did announce that about, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. So I do think that it's going to start merging somehow. Like before the show we were talking about ChatGPT, and you were saying that you were going to, Justin, you said you were going to start using Claude, and I know some people using Gemini directly, and Microsoft Pilot. I think eventually a lot of this stuff is going to start merging together and joining and growing as one. That's what I think we're going to see a lot of in 2026.
I mean, kind of like the dot-com bubble, right? Everything exploded and then it consolidated. And I think that's going to happen here. It happens, generally speaking, anytime something new hits. So I do have a question, though, along those lines. You're bringing up Apple and how it's going to, maybe we'll call it standardizing a little bit with AIs. It's not going to do its own thing. Do you think there's any chance they're going to stop turning my damn messages green and pissing off everybody else in the group chat?
No, that's what they're hanging their hat on. But yeah. I'll tell you this, sometime in Q1, I will be joining you and Bryan and making the switch from Apple to Android.
Oh, tell me more. Why? What happened? Why did Apple fall from your graces?
I've been waiting, and any person out there that knows, that has an iPhone, knows that we've been waiting forever to try to catch up with Samsung. I want a folding phone.
Oh, and okay.
I like, a couple of my friends that have Samsung, it's pretty. Apple finally decided that they're going to join the folding world in sometime at the end of the year, but they're coming out with like what they're calling the passport size. So it's like much smaller than like I have the iPhone Pro Max. I like the big screen. They're shrinking it, and they're just pretty much having it open sideways, and that kind of annoyed me. And Samsung is coming out with the trifold, and this is not a commercial for Samsung, where it's going to open up to a 10-inch tablet.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you guys know, but I like technology and I like playing with toys like this. So I am going to be making the switch once it comes out.
This is blasphemous, depending on which groups you run in. If you were in my house, you'd get thrown out the window. I am not popular around here because of my green messages. Just gonna say so.
Everybody in my family uses Apple except for me.
I've got
my wife has been cursing at me ever since I pretty much told her this like a few weeks ago. So
so she's not.
No, she's not happy. She's sending me these bullshit like Samsung like durability tests. People throwing it off like the third floor building. It's like, look, it broke when he threw it off the building. I'm like, no shit. Like go do that with your iPhone. Let's see if it survives.
It's good times.
But she's not happy. So it's good to know that you guys are in very similar situations. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what Apple does really well is divide. Starts wars, makes people hate each other. That's what Apple's good at.
Well, I would argue that they like taking technology that already exists and then telling their Apple users that, look what we came up with.
And look how much better it is. And how much more secure it is. And, yeah.
And we'll sell you the same thing again next year as well.
Yeah. And it's only like 30% higher than the rest of the market. All right, guys, what else do we have as far as 25 review, 26 outlook? I think we've kind of wrapped it up pretty good, but if you have any final thoughts, this is your last chance.
Yeah, I mean, one thing like I was saying, people are kind of going on autopilot. You still have to, bring it to security. You still, you still need to keep an eye out. You still need to. You can't assume that your spam filter is going to work 100% of the time. Don't just click, things that you don't think you're supposed to be clicking on. You still need to do training and you still need to keep learning. You can't think that the world around you is just going to be automated and AI is taking over and you don't need to think anymore. You still, at least for 26, that's not the case right now. 27, maybe. You could stop thinking and maybe in 27.
I'm putting that on my calendar because I am tired of thinking, quite frankly. Bryan, what are your final
thoughts? Just like in business, the basics are what matter, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to cybersecurity, the basics are what matter. So in business, we have to make sure we have good sales and marketing. We have to make sure we got good financial controls. We have to make sure we have a good product and good customer service, right? If you have those 4 core basic things, most businesses will survive and most businesses will thrive. Cybersecurity is the same way. If you do the basics, right? Which we've talked about many times, so I'm not going to rehash it all out. But if you start with the basics, and you'll be much better off than 90% of the people out there. 90% of the businesses will be low-hanging fruit, and you'll be a lot higher up that tree.
Good call. All right. Well, guys, I'll be honest. I've said what I have to say. This consistency, though, that's I said that because we took almost 2 months off, and it was not on purpose. I will admit that. I don't like to admit that, but I will. We won't be doing that again. We're gonna get down to business here. So, Mario and Bryan, both you, I appreciate you being here week after week and loaning me your brain. This podcast is much better for having you on it. I know that because I tried to do it alone at first. No bueno. So thank you both for being here. And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Guys, go to unhackmybusiness.com for show notes, for past episodes, for resources, and all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and say our goodbyes. Bryan.
Geez, I can't even remember my sign off.
It's a journey.
1%.
Improve a little bit every day. I mean, Jesus Christ, Bryan. Everybody else knows your sign off.
I know. Allow us to be part of your journey in everything IT. Come join us. We'll be your guide and help you through the journey of getting 1% better every day.
The world is stressful enough on its own. Let us help you guys sleep better at night. Let us take something off your plate, and to be your partners in the cybersecurity journey.
All right. That's it, guys. I'm Justin Shelley. Remember, listen in, take action, and keep your business unhacked. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.